agree with the principle that like every house should focus on themselves, and then when you have a surplus, you can help others, but you still have to put your house first and take care of your own needs.
You want
Yeah,
taxpayer dollars just to go to
be
15K per person per baby.
Yes.
Mongolia has had some amount of success, but it's super fucking expensive, and you don't feel the returns on it for at least 16 years. Immigration, like as Tyler mentioned, these immigrants are ready to work now, and it seems like just generally it doesn't put as much of a fiscal burden on the U.S.
Like that's the problem we were trying to solve.
Companies save money on labor, they pass that cost on to the savings onto the consumer, and the consumer save money. So you should probably consider first of all, the immigrant is benefiting.
What happened? Why do you think this? Sounded like I have to suck off the teat of a corporation, be like, please give me cheaper prices. Fuck that.
Look, if the cost of an input goes down, supply shifts right, and that decreases prices.
No,
I don't know what to tell you. So if Gibbs is correct in saying that if firms have price-setting power, if you want to see more content like this, I would really appreciate you liking and subscribing. It really helps with the algorithm. And make sure to check out the Discord and other social links in the description.
So we're going to do things slightly different today. I have a nice 48-second clip that we're going to watch. And I'm going to introduce the topic, and then I'll let y'all give openings. We'll go from there. So basically this week I was, scrolling, doom scrolling as one does. And I came across Conor McGregor speaking about the Irish presidency and after his meeting with Trump. And we're going to watch this clip. We'll go from there. And
what did you say to the president? What did you say?
He's had a great meeting with him. He's a great man. I told him his work rate is outstanding, and I wish him all the best.
Conor, the Taoiseach says you don't speak for the people of Ireland. Your response to that?
I am an employer of over 200 people, almost 300 people in the country of Ireland. He's an employer of none. Every available metric available to us has shown that the government of Ireland currently has failed the people of Ireland. In 10 years, Dublin city centre has gone from one of the most safest cities in Europe to one of the most dangerous. So shame on him for saying that, speaking down on an Irishman. I won't speak about him personally. Throw a jab, I could throw many jabs at them. I could throw jabs handily at them. However, I speak on the metrics, and the metrics show they've failed the people of Ireland. They do not represent the people of Ireland.
Conor,
and I'm
what
here.
do you say to people who feel it's inappropriate for you to be here, given...
God bless Ireland, God bless America.
He's like, I know where that's going.
Yeah, so I watched this video, and it kind of struck an interesting chord with me, because we've seen recently, it seems like at many levels worldwide, a rejection of globalism from many places. Canada was even going this way until Trump really came down on them hard, and it kind of caused them a swerve, but it shows like they had this kind of interest. We've seen it in other countries, like Argentina is the big one. I can't think of the little place that Fabian's always talking about, but there's that little state that's kind of like turned libertarian. We're seeing it overseas with a lot of countries wanting to fight against this like globalist idea with the immigration to try to keep cultural identities. It seems to be a rise in nationalism. Some of it might even be Trump inspired, whether it's pro-Trump, like because of him saying, hey, look what he's doing with the U.S., or because they're saying, oh, Trump's coming for us, push the nationalism. It seems like globalism is suffering quite a bit because of this. And it also goes to show two other things that I noticed. One, Conor, who is a very controversial figure worldwide, especially even in Ireland, he, is alleged as a rapist, right? He's not super popular in Ireland already, is somehow capturing quite a bit of support, right? And the reason for that is, one, I think because he's a business owner and he employs a lot of people, and two, that he represents what a lot of people feel like the common man and rejecting the status quo. And I feel like there seems to be this kind of like idea going worldwide. Is this a good thing? What's the reason behind this? Are we gonna see this continue going forward? Is globalism as a concept done? Is nationalism good? What's gonna happen? We'll start with Tyler here, who is giggling like a little schoolgirl, and I encourage you to share with the class
as usual.
What's so funny.
I got a funny DM. It had to take me more time to explain it, and by the time I got to the joke, a funny DM, and if I explained
a furry DM,
what got us there, by the time I got to the joke, it wouldn't be funny anymore. Sorry. So I'm looking at this. I've noticed a few things. I didn't know there was this big of a trend until you put the prompt up the other day, and I started looking into it. There's a bunch of countries in the last maybe 5-6 years that are following the way of Hungary, it looks like, and kind of having a growing right-wing movement. And what you're seeing with all of them over and over is they're being said, all have ties to the Nazis and all have ties to fascism. They're all supposed to be feared. And then you look at like some of the governments, I think Italy was the one that already took power with their right-wing presence, and it's like they're super pro-Israel and all sorts of things that traditional fascist Nazis were not. So I think a lot of it's fear-mongering, and we're seeing the push against that global elite that wanted to put everybody under a one world government, one size fits all. It just didn't work, and somewhere that has blood and soil roots to their nation, where these people have had this entrenched culture for thousands of years in some of these places. I don't think you can just put them all under one banner and everyone just gets along, especially with how hostile it was there up until about 60 years ago. So I think this is kind of merited. It's just the pendulum swinging back, and at the end of the day, long term, we're going to get the best possible policy out of this.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go to Buckaroo.
I agree with him that it's the pendulum swinging back. I also think fears from COVID are probably just encouraging people to hold to, what they already know. Lean more conservative if you're feeling pressure from the outside. So I could see that going on. My position on globalism, I don't know. I mean, I like the idea of having people who can, move about and interact with one another internationally. International trade, I think, is useful and good, but I definitely understand why people might feel like their governments aren't focusing enough attention on their constituents, and why they might want to, see a bit more local support.
Yeah, just to be clear, Toby, to chat, I did know there's right-wing movement. I'm not talking about the right-wing movement specifically. I'm talking about more of the populist tilt that it's kind of taking lately. Go ahead. Did you want to say one more thing before we switch over?
Yeah, I have also just always wondered, I haven't read much on this point specifically. I have just wondered how much globalism can also encourage some companies to seek harmful labor practices in other countries where there may be different regulations than there are in America. So I have wondered, how globalism can just be harming other countries or people in those countries just by nature of different rules.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Nonfon, go ahead.
Yeah, there are gains from exchange between countries, there are gains from economies of scale, and there are gains from specialization. Although it's generally make trade between countries good, it increases wages, it increases growth, it increases a ton of things. Generally speaking, there seems to be gains from immigration. There seems to be gains from the free movement of capital between countries, and that applies to labor as well. Yeah, I would also add, I mean, it seems like liberals are getting, Tyler's going to like this one, liberals seem to be getting basically positively or negatively polarized into supporting free trade. I think the Financial Times has a poll that shows that support for free trade among conservatives is basically stable, but for liberals there's a big spike after Trump did all this insane tariff stuff. And then also, I mean, there are just benefits. There are just benefits to helping other nations as well. I mean, I think that USAID can give money to other countries, and that helps a lot more people on the margin than you can do if you spent that same money in the U.S. and all of that. Basically means there are a lot of benefits from globalization.
All right. Thank you so much. Pentuple.
I think the populist spike, especially in Europe, but also here in the U.S., is just immigration. Largely, is probably the number one issue that drives that. I think we saw that with Brexit. We saw that with Trump. It's easily his biggest issue. And I think if you look at a lot of these countries in Europe, at their biggest issue, it's probably immigration. So that's what I think the cause is. And I fall on the sympathetic side of that issue. So I think it's a good thing that this populism and stuff is finally rising. Although I will say it seems like Europe's like 10 years ahead of us on the immigration issue. It feels like we can kind of maybe get this under control. Europe's got a lot more of a logistical nightmare ahead of them trying to fix this immigration problem. But yeah, I mean, I'll leave it at that. I don't really have a super substantive opening tonight, but I consider myself a nationalist and anti-globalist. So not in the sense that I'm anti-trade, if that's another angle, but I think every nation's got to put themselves first, just like every household should put themselves first. You don't sacrifice your house to help your neighbor. You're happy to help your neighbor, but you can't sacrifice yourself. And if everyone acted like that, I don't think that would be a sustainable society. So I apply that principle in general.
All right. Thank you so much, Katya.
Okay, so basically, the way I see it is a lot of this rise in populism is caused by two things. Number one, there was a bit of a there has been like obviously like a cultural globalization mainly because of technology and less because of other factors that was exacerbated by COVID when people weren't out, interacting with people in their area. They were interacting with people online, which tends to be way more like of a global thing. And to the point where, you have people in Europe and the UK acting like American issues are literally happening right there, right now, when they aren't these ones that they're freaking out about. Secondarily, it's a lot of the like the really, really, really pressing on immigration. Now, while I won't say that there aren't issues with immigration, the immigration system, and there aren't problems that can be solved, people are like willing to sacrifice everything else for the sake of, nuh-uh, this just for us. It's like, yeah, but if you stop inviting people over but start shitting on your floor, like, that's not really helpful. I mean, yeah, it's your house, but you're making your house suck. So I think that, we can reform things instead of doing the whole slash and burn method, and I think that populism is overall a way to hold people back. I understand, like, the cultural angle for things that, like, have been changed by technology, like, I get it. But, I just don't think that we should be holding ourselves back, especially economically.
All right. Oh, discuss.
So I was kind of looking at this list here. It seems like the general trend we're seeing from I think there's 9 nations I have listed off here that have some form of right-wing populist movement growing in their nations. Italy, their party, I'm seeing stories that it was rooted in post-fascist traditions. Finland, they are a far-right force focusing highly on anti-immigration and Eurosceptic policies. Going into Hungary, we see Viktor Orban. That guy gets called a fascist probably once a week in America. Croatia, primary is a far-right party emphasizing nationalism and hyper-conservative values. Almost every one of these, Czech Republic is another one. All of these are framed as far-right, super nationalist, super anti-immigration, when in reality, what we tend to see from populist immigration, and this is why they got blindsided when Italy won, is the nationalist anti-immigration movement isn't anti-100% immigration. They're usually talking about specific cultures that don't mesh up well. And we have seen in maybe the last 15 years, a lot of people from different countries coming in for different reasons. Now, if it's immigration, generally immigration has a good vetting system in most countries. But when you have people coming in as asylees, you don't get to vet them normally and properly. We've seen massive rushes in places like Britain, places like Sweden's another one where we saw a sexual assault against women skyrocket. And it was also in tandem with them banning guns, so it could have been multiple reasons. But at the end of the day, we're seeing a lot of problems. Germany is another one where they talk about the massive overflow of immigration of people from cultures that are non-compatible with the Western values of these nations. That is where it's coming from.
Let me just add something to that before anybody else goes real quick. Poland's another good example of this, and Poland's been very much like, hey, nationalistic, we're arming to the teeth, and they're very anti immigration. It looks like, and they've actually made the claim that Russia uses refugee movements as weapons, right? They'll say, hey, we'll send refugees to this country to weaken them, or we'll send this group of people here, or hey, to this area in order to destabilize a region. I think there might be some merit to that. Do the rest of y'all think there's any merit to that, or along with everything Tyler said?
I don't know how much of it. I mean, I'm sure Poland to some extent might have been negatively affected by whatever 4 million Ukrainian refugees coming over from Ukraine. I don't know to what extent that was a intentional plan by Russia. And I do also think I don't know if the reason people call Orban a fascist is necessarily just his immigration things as it is, the fact that, from my understanding, he did remove quite a bit of the checks and balances that were in place in Hungary. I believe he did also.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to make that point if it came off like that. My bad.
Yeah, I think he also had some reforms that negatively impacted the free press. I think that's why Hungary is down.
And individual freedoms as well.
Yeah, on a lot of these democracy indexes. But I mean, I don't know. I'm a liberal. I'm not necessarily gonna go up to bat for Islam, but I can understand to some extent there might be grievances with a lot of Syrian refugees going over to Sweden, all at once to some extent. And I'm a liberal. I think liberalism is good, and I think people who don't share liberal values are, to some extent, there's a paradox of tolerance there. but like I don't know. I'm not European. I'm not. I don't read a ton about Europe, but I think it seems like just generally in the U.S. we don't have as many of these problems with immigration. It just seems like people get mad about it because they don't like the asylum process.
You said you're not European. If you're American in the kitchen and you're rushing to the bathroom, what are you when you're in the bathroom?
European.
Wow.
There you go. Boom.
Wow. Destroyed. I mean, I don't know. I'm also just. I mean, I'm not. I'd have to do reading more on immigration to Europe, but I'm not at all convinced that like the aggregate impact has been negative on a lot of European countries, because generally I would assume there would be like some positive economic benefit to even some amount of refugees coming over, and I don't really know if that's necessarily outweighed by whatever cultural concerns that we might have. But
Double, you're giggling over there. What you share with the club? What you got here?
I'm sorry. I'm locked in. I'm sorry.
He's arguing in
Into
chat.
what?
Yeah, what are you arguing? What are you arguing? Tell us your thoughts. Did you disagree with Nonfon said, or do you know what he said?
I was listening. Yeah, of course.
He makes some great points about the things he said.
Yeah. I don't know. Liberalism was good. I heard that.
Yeah.
It's good.
Based.
Oh, but you said you're a nationalist. You said you're a nationalist. You know, why is nationalism better than globalism? Tell us.
Well, like I said, I think you should like every house. Do you agree with the principle that like every house should focus on themselves, and then when you have a surplus, you know, you can help others, but you still have to put your house first and take care of your own needs before you take care of, you know, your neighbors who you love and you might care for. But if everyone's constantly doing charity, I feel like the system that works better societally is, you know, you take care of your house. You take care of your house. The best way for you to help me is to not put yourself in a position of needed help.
I think it depends on the
You
context.
and other people who agree with you disparage our allies all the time. Just saying.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, I think like
there are some circumstances where I would say, obviously, you would want to focus on your house first and focus on your nation first. But there are other circumstances where it's like, why is this? There are things that could be useful to other nations or other houses that just wouldn't be in America.
Sure, but like, say the neighborhood's like, hey, like we're all pitching in for this like new gazebo that we want to put out there, and you're like, I need to pay for my like child's doctor appointment. Like I don't have any interest in this gazebo. Like I need to put my money where my priorities are. It might be great for the neighborhood, for the gazebo, might improve everyone's property value, might be all pretty and nice and cool, but it's like, you know.
So at the end of the day, like I am a utilitarian. Like I care about what's best for like the, you know, globe overall. I don't like just care about America. But I would say like I do think there is value.
That's the principle. That's all. That's all.
Well, no, same thing. I think you're right in saying that there is, you know, positive utility in the societal value of like, you know, you probably should take care of yourself first. I mean, there is, you know, kind of a margin of things where like if you're literally like, you know, if a person's doing so much charity that they don't shower and you know they smell, then they can't really be a, you know, productive member of society. So there is like obviously a margin to these things.
You think stinky people can't work?
Well, that's debatable. That's I fire stinky people.
So the good thing about globalization is that a lot of it is, I think, mutually beneficial. The reason why trade happens is because it's mutually beneficial. Like.
Well, what about like other metrics though? What about other metrics? Like the UK is like under a crime wave right now, and there's arguments about, you know, like sex trafficking being at all-time highs, and, you know, Ireland, similar problems. You know, trade might be up, or maybe the GDP's up. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Maybe they are. Who knows? But what if one metric's real high, but like the average person's safety that was never in question before, it now is? Like, is that something we consider? Because that seems something that people point to quite a bit here, as far as immigration wise. The U.S. doesn't seem to have that problem quite as much, but the Europe seems to be definitely having that problem. And Buckaroo, you were saying something, so you go ahead.
My point was just going to be on, this is why, you know, I do think I can't understand why some people would be leaning more nationalistic, just in the sense that if people feel like they're missing out or they're not being treated fairly by their government for whatever reason, obviously they're going to be bitching if they see the government then going out of their way to help all of these other people in other nations, because it feels like, well, why can't the government give the same level of attention to its own people, to the constituents who are actually allowing it to exist?
So I take a little bit of issue, and you kind of made the same point Pentuple did, so I can kind of two birds, one stone you here. The our house comparison that he was using there. Our house needs immigrants to prosper. It's just, it took in the wrong ones in this instance, and it did so with good intentions. So the birth rates in the
What are the
United
wrong
States are-
ones, Tyler? What are the wrong
I'm
ones?
going to get
Are
to
you
that.
presuming there's nothing we can do about the birth rates, Tyler?
There is, there are.
You're throwing in the
sections-
towel?
No.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
I'm
not as
saying-
much you can do about
I'm
that.
not
actually.
giving you the snapshot fallacy that we can't adjust the rates. I'm not doing that at all. Those can be compensated
Latinos
for,
will
but
make up
even
for it.
then,
We got it.
even if we made these efforts, it's still going to be 18 years and 9 months before that person's able to work full force in there. What are we going to do right now? So we need to bring people in. Absolutely, people need to come in. The thing that they did here to stave off the risk of stagnation is they brought in people that were refugees. So you don't get to put them through the normal immigration process. You don't get to vet them. You're bringing them in almost as a guest to stay here to be safe and putting them to work while they're there to improve your economy, make their stay cheaper, blah, blah, blah. But with that, they ended up getting people that don't culturally mesh with them. And that's where the problem is. And so that's kind of why the house comparison doesn't work, because the house needs to bring in the right people. What they did was screw that part up. And in screwing that part up and then not turning around, it took a decade almost for the EU to acknowledge they made a mistake and turn around and start kicking some of these people out. Germany, it took a long time. I remember I saw stories in 2015 about whole neighborhoods being taken over in Sweden that police would not go into. And I heard, oh, no-go zones don't exist, no-go zones don't exist. And then like 5 years later, there's like 20 documented no-go zones in Sweden. So I can see why these people are getting fed up with this culture coming in. And you're being told you need to put your rights aside and let these, or your culture aside. You need to stop being so proud. Put your culture aside and let this other culture, who we're not going to check at all, come in and just run roughshod over you. And even the police are saying, like, they're getting fucking outmassed by some of these mobs.
And I mean, I think that that's like honestly like a more sympathetic argument than a lot of the arguments that people make like in the US, like a place where, you know, a lot of people are going who are immigrants, let's say from, you know, Mexico, South America, are going to places in which they do culturally mesh with people here, because we do have a lot of places here that are, you know, either a plurality or a majority, like people from South America or Mexican. That's one thing. Secondarily, Pentuple mentioned earlier about like ways to bring up the birth rates. This is kind of a sidebar, but I'm legit curious as to what yours are, because like that's a topic that I've seen like a lot of discourse on, and I found it super interesting. So I can't hear you, Pentuple.
My bad. About birth rates, you said?
He's gonna say
Yes,
ban
sir.
abortion. Ban abortion.
What we could do
and
about birth
religion.
rates?
Right, what's your opinion on that one?
Isn't the great replacement?
Opinion on birth rates.
Well, opinion on what people could do, because like there's so many
What could we do?
like arguments.
Oh well,
as to
I mean,
what
they've proposed stuff like, you know, like give $5,000 to people when they have a baby. I mean, that's probably not enough, but I would go for like 15 would probably do it. But also, if you made abortion illegal, there's a lot.
Here's my problem.
I have
Hold
heard
on.
Right
Who is funding that?
make
The
abortion
$15,000 a baby.
15? I said 15.
Yeah,
Hey,
who's
it's a
funding
valid
you
that?
wanted
investment,
15, but they've
Admiral.
said 5,000.
You want
Yeah, they said
taxpayer
5.
dollars
I
just
think
to
it
go to
should be 15.
$15K per person per baby.
Yes.
Well, here's my problem
mean,
with a lot of those
to have
lump,
like affordable child
Admiral, how
the
much?
lump
how
sum
much do you
thing.
think?
had better like
You think it's not worth
paternity,
$15,000?
parental leave.
That's not the
Bring the
problem. Here's the
American birth rate
problem.
back?
If you have like a lump fund thing where you're giving somebody $5 to $15 straight out the gate, you know who's
say
gonna
the
go,
tax
oh, I
rate
could get
is
$5,000 and I'm gonna, you know, have a baby. It's gonna be the people who are the most desperate, the least far sight looking into, like, you have to get people who aren't like retarded as hell to like have kids.
give it
You
to
have
them in,
to
like, the
change the
form of
overall
Paid
environment.
parental leave.
Yeah, I mean,
Give
that
it in
sounds
the
like
form of like
rental
mortgage aid or something. You don't have to give them cash, but you know, give them some sort
Bro,
of
y'all are the
incentive.
ones who used to say welfare queens. Like that's
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
ultimate one. Have a
Hold
baby
on.
and get
Yeah,
Well, it's a
15K.
one-time
I
agreement,
don't
and
think
you
it's
brought
a-
a person in. It's a fair
Kathy is
trade. It's not an
absolutely
endless,
right.
You know, a
unsustainable
person who
program that
might
will
be
never
born in a
close. It's
terrible situation,
trade.
who might end up as a ward of the
This is
state, who might end
insanity.
up being completely supportive for their
No,
entire
no,
lives. for the government.
you know what? You're right. We'll add a clause. If your
Parental
child
leave.
becomes a ward of
Well,
the state
hold on.
before age 18, you owe the government the $15,000 back.
Bro, hold on.
That's how you get a lot of
Oh
people who
my
are gonna
God.
get like
They're
fucking
just never
malaria
gonna pay
in
a
their
bill.
hair, bro.
So
Gibbs, I'm already writing this up for the legislators. I don't know why you're so frustrated.
Please.
What about?
I mean, you're the one arguing all the time,
What if there
Quintuple,
was
that where
just-
our
hold on,
debt is
let's just-
unsustainable.
We need
and,
to
like,
encourage people who aren't stupid to have kids. That's the problem.
Hold on.
$50,000 to
Oh,
make an American baby. Do it.
Subsidized.
I just heard.
So as Tyler
I
mentioned,
just heard
these-
Katya endorse
Hey.
Elon Musk filling up fucking turkey basters full of his semen
Please
and handing them out to
no.
women. Katya,
Are you
endorsed
accepting
it.
that it would
Here we
work
go.
at least, Katya?
You
'Cause
so
you're saying,
there are
like, all these
better
welfare
autistic people,
moms.
okay? Like,
Well, yes,
yeah.
that'll work.
Wait,
right?
Quintuple,
It'll work.
so-
I mean, it'll work, but it's not. So here's
It'll
the
work.
problem.
It'll
Here's the
work
problem.
but for people who are poor and desperate for money right now in 9 months.
Yeah, bro, you're
Parental
gonna,
leave.
Okay,
what
or
you're
those
gonna have
they
is-
can't
Wait,
work
Quintuple,
the jobs
like-
Tyler was talking
You're
about.
literally
Quintuple,
gonna
it would
You're
probably have some. It would probably have some positive impact. Like I think if you pay people to have kids, like the birth rate would increase. We saw this in Mongolia. Mongolia has had some amount of success, but it's super fucking expensive, and you don't feel the returns on it for at least 16 years. Immigration, these, like as Tyler mentioned, these immigrants are ready to work now, and it seems like just generally it doesn't put as much of a
We
fiscal
just throw in
burden
the towel on the
on the
American
U.S.
birth rate. I
Like
thought that's
these.
the problem we were trying to
Well,
solve. You're
yeah,
asking
right.
about
We
the
should be
that's the whole
supporting.
point
We
of
should
it.
So-
support
so what-
single parent
can you
health care.
engage-
We should
Wait,
support.
Quintuple,
You
can
guys
you
wanna throw in
engage
the
my
towel
point?
on
Can you
The
engage my
American-
point? Can you
Hold on,
engage my point that all that it is more that for someone who has
People talk about, listen, somebody who's in the chat, somebody who's in the chat who's from like Europe is saying, well, they give people money here to have kids. It's like, yeah, and you have socialized healthcare, and you have fucking like a parental leave, and you have all these things that we don't have here. So, excusez-moi. We need those things first.
Yeah, so look, I mean,
I genuinely
no-
think we would have a higher birth rate if support for parents was actually readily available, like parental leave, like if childcare was more affordable for the average person, like if there were more affordable products. I don't know, subsidizing diaper companies.
Those would all be
hell if I know.
awesome. Those would
Well,
all be
Quintuple,
awesome.
you're the one always arguing that the
Parental
debt is
leave is usually
unsustainable.
shut
You're the one that
down
hates our
by-
deficit so much, right? Like I don't
Yeah,
know why. I don't know.
It's
Yeah,
a
but
one-to-one
you're
trade. You have a baby, you contribute to the American birth rate. We give you a stimulus
That's how
check. It's a
deficit
one-time
works.
Yeah,
You're
that's
gonna
incredible.
give us a
Again,
migrant
so that's
One
really
time thing,
expensive.
you're gonna get people
That's
who are-
really expensive, and you don't see the returns on it for at least 16 years. Immigrants are ready to work
Okay,
now,
but
and we have evidence that
do we
immigrants
solve
are.
Can you
the
get
problem
people
who are
we're
gonna
trying to solve or
contribute?
not?
Immigrants
No,
are
you're gonna get
generally
people who are
positive
gonna
fiscal-
contribute to
Yeah,
like
but
fucking
this-
people who aren't getting an education, and then in 18 years they're not gonna contribute to the workforce. A lot of them are gonna
Yeah, they're all
contribute
gonna
to
be
prison.
retards From
No,
the
hold on,
fucking
hold on. Let me-
Alabama, yeah, they're all
Hold on,
inbred
hold
retards.
on.
What?
I never said that.
I will
like
say,
immigrants.
What are you suggesting though? We're saying, how do we solve the American birth rate problem? And you say your
Bro,
they
solution doesn't
literally
take effect for
hold on.
16 years.
Fucking
What solution to the birth rate problem doesn't take 16 years?
Listen,
I didn't say that it
Literally,
That's
immigrants
what
want to
we're
come here
trying
now,
to solve.
Quintuple.
And you're
hold
like,
on.
you're stupid. You're not throwing in the towel.
Hold on.
Ugh.
All right, listen. Okay. Listen, there absolutely is a problem with American birth rates. However, I've heard a lot of solutions. And I'm not saying I have the solution. But I'll tell you one thing. I know that ain't the solution. Because what you're going to get is absolutely what you just said. You're going to get, like, I don't know, Sally the redneck, meth head.
That's the point.
Breaking out 19 kids. And yeah, it's great. Now we have 19 kids. And guess what? Half of them are in state care. And oh, great. She has to pay them. Hold on. She has to pay them back because guess what? Oh, well, she's never going to pay them back. She's a meth head. So now I'm on the hook. No, hold on. No, now I'm on the hook for $15K per kid she had and the government funding for this kid until they're fucking 18. And
Well,
then
you're on the hook for like
probably
$50.
Possibly share them in prison after that. considering
What's
how-
the alternative?
Then I'm probably on.
Instead of little Timmy,
hold on. Then I'm
you
on the
want
hook.
Lil Mo.
Probably for those kids.
And you know I can finish that
And
name.
those kids' welfare programs after they are 18 in perpetuity. Hell fucking no, that's not the answer. What you need to do, what we need to do is either we need to encourage people that have the means to have the children to do it. So maybe you could do the 15K tax credit thing.
Okay.
If you meet XYZ criteria, like, oh, I'm financially able to provide for this kid till they're 18. I am able to guaranteed provide their college. Like, okay, cool.
I feel like my argument
that's
is
going to be a
the
very
best.
small number. And I'm not saying
I
this
feel like
actually
what I
is
said was literally the best option.
Sure, I mean,
It's not just the
Parental leave,
means.
which is something that holds back, like that stops a lot of people in,
You
like
should
the
be if you
corporate
can
jobs.
adopt. Sorry, I'm
friends,
sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's not just the
sorry.
means, it's the stability. Because here's the thing: if you talk about only having the means, like with government stimulus, when the kid is born, you're by nature getting only people who don't have the capability or care to think ahead, which is the last thing you want. To have people who are willing to think ahead, who are successful, to have kids, even if they have the means. If people think that shit could go to fucking hell any second, they're not going to do it because they're like, I don't want to bring up my kids in this fucking environment. Okay, like you have to create an environment of stability, an environment that people know that the society is going to be working by the time the kid is, 5, 10, 15, right?
Okay,
How do you know those society is going to be working in 5 years?
Of course, a meteor could come, but there's more immediate.
I'm just saying anything can happen.
Issues.
What if the president nukes
Great
Chicago?
argument,
What about that? But here's the problem.
The United States is the top 1 to 2% of the world's income.
Said what would happen if the president nuked Chicago.
Right, but here's the thing. There are probabilities that people
Does
are
anyone
using,
have a
right?
stable childhood? How many of you guys had a stable childhood?
I sold heroin.
Why are
when
we
I
acting like this isn't
school.
like the norm to have an unstable, strange thing?
Right, but there's a difference
of
stability.
Depends on what you mean by stability.
What does unstable mean?
They met.
Like,
Does
I just
instability
moved
mean
around a lot?
Right, or does unstable mean, you were able to afford food until 2008 and then you lost your house and you're eating fucking ramen every day?
If you could pass the whatever inspection they give to legally adopt a child into your home, then you would pass, and I think that'd be fun. That'd be a good standard, probably. You don't have to be rich. Imagine giving the money to the fucking rich family that was already gonna have kids anyway, and then the people in the fucking poor neighborhood don't get it.
I hate to be not the moderator here, but holy fuck, how can you sit here and act like you even give 2 fucks about the deficit, and then with a straight face propose $15K per kid whenever you know?
We're trying to solve a problem that's a little bit bigger than the deficit, right? There's a value.
Is it bigger than the deficit? Because I don't have the problem.
What is the cost
I don't have a problem
of the American birth rate being in such decline?
Maybe
Don't you see the cultural effects of this?
Oh, sure. Okay, maybe I am actually the minority here because I see us as a cultural melting pot with a mostly shared history. And as long as we're still having kids where the culture here currently has those kids, I don't have a problem with building a secure wall and then increasing immigration that's legal immigration from people that are going to provide value to society here, and then having kids. We're going to need people for the meat grinder when we fight China. I'm sorry, we're going to need them. So, hey, I'm just saying, what's wrong with bringing people in? There's nothing wrong with that if they're going to, benefit society as opposed to people that are dregs of the society. I think that's how you answer it, a combination, not put people on permanent welfare. I'll take an immigrant who can work all their whole life and have kids and provide for their kids over the welfare queen in the trailer park that's going to pop out 15 kids.
Okay, what if the welfare queen? All right, what if the welfare queen in the trailer park has a kid that works and you have the immigrant kid that works? What if you have both and they're both willing to work? Do you prefer either of them, or are they both the same to you?
Either the same. I don't give a shit at that point.
So the immigrant and the American are the same to you?
Yeah, I'm not.
Admiral
Exactly.
Lids finally exposed.
Hold on, I'm not Admiral. Listen, I guess
America first. This guy.
Listen, I'm pro immigration. Listen, I have a proud Hispanic. I like my Hispanic brothers. Have you had our food? Have you seen our women? That's all I have to say about that. Yeah, no, I'm just. I think we should just start conquering.
Can I pull this back to populism for a second?
Admiral Globalist.
And the right-wing populism
under one American empire.
Well, because we were trying to solve the birth rate problem. Why were we trying to solve the birth rate problem if it doesn't matter?
I mean,
it doesn't matter. Hold on, it doesn't matter in the United States because we're not a blood and soil nation. We're a nation of Western ideals, Western culture, the Western.
What would a blood and soil nation be, like Israel or like France?
Israel. Israel is weird because it was down.
Well, I just haven't used the term before, but that means like a country of ethnic people that live there.
Yeah, like 80%, 90% ethnic hegemony and a long history in that land. Yes, China, Japan. 2,000, 3,000-year-old nations are like blood and soil nations where you have a culture that's been instantiated and almost uninterrupted for hundreds of thousands or thousands and thousands of years. So
how long until we can claim that?
We don't.
We'll never claim it. In 1,000 years, in the year 3000, there'll be no. Yeah.
Our growth.
No, because America. Yeah, America formed after people were moving around a lot more than they were 2,000 years ago. There was a formation date for a lot of these nations, and we if that's the kind of nation that you want, we kind of missed the boat. Yes, honestly, people are going around the world. Yeah, we kind of did.
Wrap this back to European populism. I'm going to make a real, because I got accused of fence sitting like 3 times in the last 2 days here by a lot of people. So I'm going to make a real base case.
You like sitting on a lot of things. We know.
I'm going to, yeah, but not fences. Usually, other things like chairs. But I'm going to make a one-sided take. This idea that we need to respect inferior cultures needs to go. The reason we are going into your failed state to save you or to take your people that are refugees is because your culture and your state sucked and it failed. We need to stop. This is the reason why assimilation fails, is because we need to respect their culture. Actually, your culture is too strong, and the people you bring in, you should learn a thing or two from them. Fuck that out the window moving forward. It's the same reason I personally think that we failed in our rebuilding of Afghanistan, because we let them keep their cultural ties, and they wanted to be more like Saudi Arabia. By 15 years in that country, they should have wanted to be more like America. We did that shit wrong. So that's kind of where I go with that, is we need to push this idea of every culture is the same completely out the window and start scrutinizing people properly.
Actually, I do have an answer for you now that I thought about it, Pentemple. I have a better system. We return.
I'm open to ideas.
We return. We do a economic program in the veins of this is real Admiral Libs right here, in the veins of Maoist China, where we push agrarian and oil. And that's what we push, and we'll have 1 million kids like the Saudis do, and we'll have 1 million kids like ancient agrarians do, and we'll be set, like because we'll be rich off oil and we'll be rich off of all of the beef and grain and shit. Are you ready for that?
Just go live in the DPRK. Go to fucking Siberia, bro.
I don't know. You think it'll work?
Yeah.
You're convinced it'll work?
No.
Can you look me in the eyes and tell me that this is going to work, Admiral?
I mean, I think like Texas proves it works already. We use our oil taxes to pay for our public universities, and they nonstop keep building. And so, I mean, we could just expand that to like Nonfon always wants, a sovereign wealth fund, and we could just keep all the people in oil. They could be the new Texas and wherever else. They got Alaskan oil princes with 6,000 kids. We can build a golden pearly city in Alaska, and we can have 1 million kids per person, and then we can just go back to farming. And you need a lot of kids for that because, well, they die.
You would need a machine to inseminate that many
you don't have
women
medicine anymore. What
you would need a machine.
A machine.
Perfect. Yeah, you ready?
They want 1 million children each. Okay, they would need a machine. Okay, that's not happening
machine
on their own, okay? That is machine time, okay? They would have an inseminating plant.
Yeah, like
now we're getting into kink territory. Let's go.
Oh, God. Well, we'll get the turkey based. Oh, that was quite a high-pitched giggle there. All right. Anyway, moving forward. All right, where were we going before I sidetracked us with that? Somebody said something there.
Tyler was taking us on.
Tyler, go. Yeah, take us back to European populism.
Oh yeah, I was just going on that cultural rant that like these cultures built up these nations to have the ability to bring these people in, and your nation's failing, our nation's succeeding. So maybe you need to take a fucking step back. Maybe take a couple pages out of your book and tear them out and put pages from our book in there to incorporate the good thing. This is like assimilation. Like, this is something that's an American value. You bring people in, you split them up amongst the population so you don't have concentrated amounts of people, and you work them into American society. And it's completely fine and great, but once
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have interrupted. I'm so sorry. That was just needless and rude of me.
Because I was about to go on another route, so what you got?
I was gonna say, maybe we just need to make a list of all the American traits that are uniquely American. We've got a list of rules. This is what Americans do. If you do these rules, you're American, and then we can accept you into the culture. I feel like you guys, if you're gonna be so strong on people need to be accepting our values and turning away from theirs, you guys have to be at least somewhat clear on what makes an American American.
And Sociologic is here.
I love this discussion.
Well, welcome in, Sociologic. I guess we can come back
Other
to
than
step 2.
Being annoying.
Well, yeah. So we can come back to this as well, Sociologic. You can give your comments on this. But, rise of European populism. Why are countries being dissatisfied with the current global world order? I know you have opinions on this. I know you always talk against interventionism, etc. What do you thought about globalism dying and populism rising and nationalism rising, as well as what we were just talking when you walked in? Go ahead.
I think people are sick of everyone. I think people want everyone wants everyone to go back to their own country, it feels like. Right? And I feel like people want to go back to their own countries but can't. Right? So we have this issue where we have groups of people who left their countries because they didn't want to leave, but they had to leave because there's wars and shit, and you can't really live there unless you just want people to die. So then they get taken other places, and then they're like, forced to they get yelled at and forced to assimilate and so on and so forth. It's like chill, like wait for them to have kids, but they can't, and then all the racisms and stuff. So it's like I feel like we're in one big global panic. And what's the real solution, right? Because I came in and you guys are talking about what makes an American, right?
Crisis.
Right. What makes an American, right? You guys are we're worried about that. Are we losing what it is to be an American because of all the immigrants and the languages and the cultures and so on and so forth? Is that what we're worried about?
I mean, personally, I'm not worried. I don't really care.
Look, as long as we don't start giving out sparkling water at restaurants,
I'm not fucking over other people's lives to do it. I'm not really worried.
Oh, is the worry that we're becoming European?
But Tyler specifically. So, a part of what brought this up for me was Tyler was talking about how other cultures or other countries may be failing in some ways, and how they could just take something from America, basically. And if they want to be a part of the American culture, if they want to immigrate to America, then they'd have to, in some way, actually assimilate, actually accept certain American values so that they are a part of a national identity.
A Texan or a Californian New York American value, or a New Yorker, Michigander.
If we're really going to have
Floridian
right?
Yeah,
what American are we talking about?
We already have that. So I could kind of explain the standards we already have, and you guys can tell me if those are acceptable. What we tend to look for is a lining up of human rights as in terms of how you view gay people, how you view women. We don't want to consider any groups as a second-class citizen. It lines up in terms of, if you look on the form that you have to fill out to apply for a green card and whatnot, they actually ask questions about your support for Western democracies, Western liberal democracies. You have to be, you don't even have to vote. You just have to be in favor of those on your application, and that's it. So we found ways to parse these out. And then for things that are illegal here that aren't maybe not illegal elsewhere, we have the justice system for that. So the laws, the police can handle all that shit. But we do have systems in place to have these minimal barriers. How deeply you want to acclimate is up to you. If you want to become a vegan Californian, that is your right after being here for 10 years, but there's no requirement to go to that level.
I just feel like most Americans don't even hold themselves to their standards, like the native born, the homegrowns.
Unfortunately, not.
Which is a part of my complaint. How can you say there are these American traits if born and raised Americans don't have those traits? How can you expect other people to assimilate to a culture that Americans haven't even assimilated to themselves?
My dad came here of his own choice in the 80s, right? Started a family, American dream, was a millionaire at one point, lost it in the '08 economic crisis, so on and so forth. And he's still yeah, no, I wouldn't live anywhere else. You got to give people time to acclimate and assimilate, right? It's they can't come here and be 5 years, you got to be. No, it's going to take a generation, right? The first group of people that get here are not going to assimilate. We're going to have to accept the fact that they are completely different. They are a different people. And their kids more often than not assimilate pretty fucking well, right? So
yeah, I agree with actually with a lot of what you're saying, Sociologic. I think that what's really interesting here, for example, in Texas, is by third generation Hispanics now are even voting Republican, right? And you would think, oh, okay, they're going to vote the opposite, but I think it's because of the assimilation, right? They go in, American culture does assimilate people faster than the immigrants are coming in. There's no great replacement going down. By the time you're third generation Hispanic here, you're more Texan than you ever were back in Mexico, right? They don't have any loyalty to that, but here they're flying the Texas flag. They're over here, drinking Miller Lite or Bud Light. They love the Cowboys, and to your point, someone made this. Well, what does make an American? I'll tell you a point. I know this guy Juan. He came here illegally, got his citizenship. I talk about him all the time. Just got off the phone with him yesterday. He owns a Porsche, brand new. He works 3 minimum wage jobs right now, and his wife's having kids. He goes, "Oh, Gibbsy, I live American dream. I've had fat American life, lots of kids, and I fucking own Porsche, own my own house." house. I'm like, damn, if that's not the American dream, I don't know what is. That's the shit I preach on these panels. You're tired of welfare? Go work 120 hours a week. That guy's fucking doing it. And then I go and see these guys over here. Oh no!
There was this Moroccan dude. There was this Moroccan dude who like, you know, came here illegally, so on and so forth. He was being interviewed, and they're like, "What do you want to do in America?" He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna work and I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna do Uber. I'm gonna fucking," like, he just started listing all this gig shit. Bro, it's like he was so passionate about coming here and driving Ubers, right? He's like, "What do you mean? I don't want to do this anywhere else. I want to make money, pay taxes." Right, and it's just like,
Actually,
I feel like a lot of the dudes
benefit,
that break
baby.
in here, outside of like the criminals that everyone wants to be like,
Well,
well,
I
the
just
gang
wanna-
members.
Hold on.
Taxpayers, dude.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Wait, what?
When I worked at Taco Bell, like all of the DoorDash drivers were immigrants. Every fucking one of them was an immigrant from another country. It was actually kind of sick. We got to meet like tons of different people.
Well, I want to add one.
Yeah, like some of them didn't even speak English yet.
Let me add one thing to what Pitapple, that I know Pitapple, I want to hear you have an argue about against. All right, so I would argue that leftism here in America has ruined the culture and now has enabled too many people to live off the teat of society. And maybe the answer to that is these fuckers that are willing to come in here and work, and the answer for all and that'll outbreed and outproduce these lazy fucking lefties that are fucking just living off the teat. What is your answer to that? How do you? Because the Christians are going to be doing it, right? They're having babies like crazy if you're Catholic. So what's your
in
solution?
a way,
Are they?
you're
Is the
technically
Catholic birth rate higher?
hold on, he's technically describing the
Righties
baby
technically live
boomers
off the
there.
teat more, not gonna lie.
But he's describing the
Catholics?
baby boomers. The baby boomers are
Right-wingers.
retiring right now, and what we're seeing is we don't have enough people paying into Medicare to fully pay for them. So we need to pull in immigrants to pay
Right.
more in the Medicare.
Yep.
Pentuple, are you against that?
Say that one more time.
Right now, Medicare is underfunded. We can't. The baby boomers are all retiring, so we're seeing problems with Medicare going insolvent. I think in like 7 years now. If we have more people coming in from different countries to work, we have more people paying into the Medicare system. Young, healthy, ready-to-work people that bring in on work visas, and for immigration purposes and for even asylum purposes, you have the right to work. The more people working, the more people paying into Medicare, the less it goes insolvent, the longer it can last. Isn't that a good thing?
I mean, it sounds like one way to solve that problem, but I don't know that it's like when you put the whole model together that it's the plan that we should go with.
It's
But
what Trump's going with.
sounds
His
like
tax
a
policy.
solution to the numbers issue, because we do, like I've said, the Medicare thing, you know, even at best, is just mathematically not going to work if there's not enough people paying into it.
Well, Pitapple, I don't care so much
just
about that,
said.
but I want to argue about the culture aspect of that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
these
well,
people
like,
come to work.
Yeah,
Well,
these
that's what
people
I'm
are coming to work. They're coming to be Americans. They want to be Americans. They're proud to be here. They want to have kids that are Americans. They want to
Are they?
like have.
Are these the ones
some
protesting
of
out
them-
with their flags?
Well, that some of them
Literally,
are. Some of them aren't, right?
all the
But, like-
hardest
like,
workers I've ever
Listen,
met.
man, protesting is the best
protesting
part of
is
being an
Saying, when you
American,
see
bro.
these people out here burning American
Well,
flags
but
and waving the
it comes
Mexican
back to
flag,
second-
Yeah,
That's
that's
America.
I don't know if
That's
that's
America,
America, want to
baby.
keep it or no. I don't know that that's
That's
very
Protesting's a
America,
part
baby.
of the DNA of America.
Okay,
that's
if
America,
you have issues
baby.
with protesting, like
That's true, but I don't think that just means protesting like is like
You want how do you want to give how do you want to have the right to say fuck this country, but
if
then
they're
judge people that say
No,
fuck this
I'm not
country?
saying they don't have the right to do
Also,
it.
You're
but
judging
saying,
them,
don't
though.
you
You're
want these
judging them,
people here?
though.
Don't
if
you
they're
love these people? And I'm like,
do
no.
they not have any right to be upset about their nation? Is that not like obviously a sign that they do care about the nation? If they want the nation to change for its people, that shows that
Well,
they
want the nation to give
they
them
have an
citizenship.
investment. Well, this
No.
shows they have an investment
Talking
in
about
the country, though.
what is it?
This
Yeah,
shows
they
their
do have an
level of
investment. I
investment
get
that
that.
they're choosing to
They got
argue,
skin in the game.
even if they have to worry about like their own immigration because of the current climate. Like these are people who care about the nation. That's why they come here in the first.
I want to narrow it down, Pitapple, though.
Illegal ones
Because
come
hold
here.
on,
I don't know.
Pitapple, hold on. I get
Illegal
where
ones
you're
are the
coming.
most based.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So
A lot of
Pitapple-
people are coming here for opportunity.
No,
reasons.
hold
It's
on,
a better life
Pitapple.
here, and they know
But
that.
the-
And
but
that's
you're
simple
kinda-
as simple as that.
Hold on, hold on.
And benefits
Hold
your
on.
driver. Mutual benefits and
Why they like
voluntary
the
exit.
country?
Ali was
That's
cooking.
what they like
Hold on.
about it.
Hold on. So Pitapple, I forget because guys, y'all are kind of getting distracted. I wanted you to focus up real quick. You and me, Pitapple. Here, look at me. Shh. All right. So here's the thing. Here's what I'm asking you. All right, we're talking about legal. This is what I'm talking about. Legal aliens that are here, that are working. They're not. I'm not talking about the ones out there protesting that don't have
Legal aliens.
citizenship, or legal aliens that are going through the citizenship process, or of citizens that were legal aliens, the ones that are not out here protesting, the ones that are working, they're having kids, they're working, all these people. Is that not better, and actually somewhat of a return to this idea of like work, of don't live off the government, provide for yourself, embrace, even you can even argue embrace Christian values because many of them are Catholic. Is this not what you want? And don't you think that would breed out the ones that are over here on the left? They're like, oh, don't have kids, the world's terrible. Oh, don't work, we don't want to work. Like, isn't that what you want in the long term anyway? The ones that are going to stay and
You're saying
work.
if the immigrants are culturally based,
yeah, isn't that what you want anyway?
does
they
it
are.
factor in whether I don't know that it factors in whether they're based or not, like whether I like
They're
their
not coming here
culture
from
or not.
Sweden.
Like, I don't even know if it matters if they assimilate necessarily. It's good when they assimilate. If we're going to take immigrants, they definitely should assimilate, and I think we should, demand that as much as we can. But I don't.
Not really though. Like you can only
I'm not saying,
unless you want them to become Americans in their country first. Like, that's not how it
for
works.
example, do you think that people should have to take an English test before they get American citizenship? Like, should you be able to prove that you will be able to speak to the people and your governors? And
I don't think you need to speak English.
You do have to do that, don't you?
I
know some countries.
I don't think you should have to.
I don't know if we do.
You have a test you have to pass for the record.
Probably not
I don't
very high.
think
To be
English
conversational.
Illegal
But I
alien.
do think
Well, it's like if I
there
moved to
should
Germany,
be much
should I have to
more
learn
readily
German first?
accessible English classes available to immigrants. I actually think that is like something that's sorely lacking is
There's a demand for it, for sure.
accessible classes.
I mean, I think they'll learn English
I
while
just think
being here.
you can't even
I think
set
they'll
that
learn-
expectation if
yeah,
you're
they'll
not
just
willing
learn-
to offer any ways for them to learn it.
I'm not against
That's
that.
just kind of saying you can't
If you
fucking
tested
come here
What I
unless
mean by
you
saying when
If
I
you
say we
tested
should
my
demand
parents'
and
English-
encourage it is to offer things like that to help them assimilate and stuff. Like,
If you tested
how to
my
fire a
parents'
gun
English
classes.
right now, they would fail an English test. They've been here for 32 years. It's not like they're studying. They can speak English. They're vibes, but like
Why
they ain't
would they
passing
fail
no
a test?
test. My mom can.
Well, I
first
don't
of
think
all,
the
my
test
mom-
should have to be honestly like a written test. You should just have to go in and you should be able to communicate with the person that's processing your
have to
paperwork.
take-
If you
they
can
have- hold
communicate
on.
with the person processing your paperwork in English,
They-
you're good. Fuck it.
You already have to take a written test that's in English to become an American citizen.
That's
I'm pretty sure you can get a translator for the test, brother. I don't think that's true.
Is that true? You can get a translator for it?
I thought for citizenship.
For sure,
Well,
bro.
then the test wouldn't be for the purpose of knowing English if that's true.
Well,
That's what I'm saying. There is
It would
no
be for
test for
some other
knowing
test.
English. There's no shot. There's a test for knowing for English competency
But
to become an
realistically,
immigrant.
I think Japan has that.
realistically,
Oh wait, okay. Tyler seems
We
to
didn't
have
have
an
an
on it.
official language until like
Shout
3
out
months
Tyler
ago,
with
so-
the polls. Shout out Tyler with
go
the
ahead,
polls.
Tyler.
I got something that can help clarify this a little bit for you guys.
Our
So
stat,
you're
our
arguing-
resident stat tracker.
I'm gonna do something I hate doing generally is comparison police you guys here. Immigration is a privilege, citizenship is a birthright. The reason why we get to police who comes into our country is because we're giving them a pass to come into our country. The people here get to deem what those qualities of the people we want to bring in are. So if we say we want people that are coming here to work, we can bring in a young workforce. If we say people want people coming here to flee different persecution from the government, we can sign an asylum treaty and things of that nature. But it's our decision as a populace and a voter, as in this democracy we're in, to pick that out. And this is the way we decided to do it. So that addresses you guys. I want to jump in and address Pent here real quick because with Gibbs' point. So he's kind of talking about opportunity costs. The more illegals that come in, the less legals we can let in, essentially. So with legal immigration, what we see at the southern border is within like 2 to 3 generations, people that come over the southern border tend to identify as white. Within 2 generations, they're an economic contribution to the government in terms of taxes paid and productivity put in. But when you switch that over to illegal immigrations, it goes up to 4 generations it takes them to cross the 50% threshold of being white. And it takes about 3 to 4, depending. I've seen different studies, 3 to 4 generations for them to be a net profit to the U.S. government because it costs about $250 billion a year, roughly, for our illegal immigrant population currently. It's probably higher now. So
What do you
when
say
people
white?
consider
I'm
themselves
confused.
white.
It's a good
Is this
2020. It's a good
definition?
20.
I
It's
don't
like
know
a
what
good
that is.
That's like me
2020
and Hassan.
study.
That's like me and Hassan saying we're white.
We're gonna go to
It's
Nonfon
still-
after.
You could.
Wait,
go ahead,
wait,
I
Nonfon.
mean, I know I
there's
can.
a
I get to
good-
claim Caucasian too. It's fun.
Yeah, it's
immigrants,
fine.
illegal immigrants have like a lot of
Go
spillover
ahead.
benefits. You know, it's not just like the benefits of immigrants coming here. It's the fact that like, you know, businesses with the added labor supply are able to expand more easily and things like that. And if you account for the like indirect taxes paid because of that, there's the 2020 paper that estimates that most illegal immigrants are still actually a net fiscal benefit, not even accounting for, you know, whatever other spillover benefits they might have outside of tax revenue. So it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I take a little bit of issue with that. Yeah,
but-
we could probably do a whole panel on just that, to be totally honest. But
I've seen evidence otherwise, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a good point here, Tyler. This is why I keep bringing up legal immigration. I think it matters quite a bit, like because you're getting, and I hate to be use this term, but like the desirable immigration. These people want to be here, they're working, and I even get illegal immigrants want to be here, right? They couldn't go through the process. It's just. You broke the law kind of thing, and you're working on the table, turns into slave labor. There's all sorts of other problems with sex trafficking, property damage, all these things. These are real things. I see Ollie laughing, but this is shit that I see literally on the news every day.
Like, what's the percentage of like turned sex worker because of like under the table working immigrant, right? Like,
it's like if you go to the strip, for example,
high,
if I go to the strip club right now here in San Antonio, you're gonna find a ton of Cuban girls. And they all basically work for the cartel, like every single one of them. And it's because they come
You're in San Antonio.
Yeah, well, we don't have a very large Cuban population.
Well, I mean, like
they can immigrate
every
them in
stripper I know,
from
like
Cuba to Mexico, and then Mexico to here. They'll come here and they basically are under the table, as opposed to you say go to Austin, where you see, which is just like 2 hours away.
They're working for American gang members.
I guess. I mean, sure, but like you say this, but they're actually like these are actually like whores. They're like literally being sold like as sex objects. They're only out there to pick up fucking people like as hookers. They're not even like there at the strip club to be strippers. Like this is a real problem that I see on a day-to-day basis here. Not that
I know, and I'm from
Detroit.
I'm from Detroit, where if you go down 8 Mile, that's like the same thing with like American girls at the strip clubs too. It's just like that's what the strip club is, though. The strip club is the underground like playground for that type of shit.
Underground,
like every stripper I know is under some type of like management, right? So like when the strippers would like there's like groups of them under like it's essentially a pimp, right? He's rounding them up, he's taking them to work, he's collecting a cut, so on and so forth. So it's like I get that it's
but if you make
I don't think it's an immigrant problem. That's
so that they have the same protection.
Hold on. It's not an immigrant problem, Ollie. That's not what it is. The problem is the cartel, which takes advantage of an immigrant problem. And if you make it where it's cost ineffective for them to want to use the sex trafficking as a means, oh hey, we're just keep coyote, because right now being a coyote is wildly profitable.
Yeah,
they can bring them in, you can sneak them in, the border's porous, yada yada. But as you make it more costly to do that, well, okay, we're going to go to different avenues, and that's going to decrease sex trafficking. Like, do you see what I'm saying right here? Because it's over police, it's not as profitable. Let's go to something that's easier to do, like smuggling.
Well, the issue is like it's not only going to affect the reason it's not over policed now is because there are enough Americans making money off the same system, right? So like yes, like if you want to sit here and like tackle the specific San Antonio strip clubs that have the cartel, like sure, but like unless you tackle all of the strip clubs, these girls are just gonna be able to work anywhere.
It's not just strip clubs. I mean, that was just
I know, but like
the massage
strip club is like strip club is a really easy like business to speak on, right? Like because like we see these things happening right in front of us. It's like apparent. So like what I'm saying is like if we're actually talking about like sex trafficking is the issue, then we would be kind of like attacking all strip clubs, right? But we're not going to do that. And if we're going to say that like, well, no, it's the sex trafficking for the cartel that we think is the issue, then it's like, I don't know how you specifically tackle cartel sex trafficking. No, but like I just don't know how you tackle specifically cartel sex trafficking.
Well, but the reason
right?
why I say cartel specifically is because the cartel, yes, it's the sex trafficking, but it's also that they're using their immigration illegally, like the coyotes, to like facilitate that. So if you take away this, it's going to also take away this, which is two problems solved.
Oh, you mean taking away the illegal immigrant? Well, yeah. If you, I mean, you're one idea is to stop it, right? Is to like block all illegal immigration. The other idea would be to like speed up our immigration process so they wouldn't need to have.
I say both. Why
use
not
for
both?
the coyotes, right?
Yeah,
I'm good with both. I'm good with both.
Yeah.
I mean,
you want to do both? Down.
Nonfon.
Yeah, universal.
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
you were saying.
I was going to say basically, like I don't know how much we're gonna like disagree there. Like I think we would like us globalists would say like you should just like increase legal immigration, and that would probably get rid of a lot of these problems and probably have a path to amnesty for a lot of these immigrants already here, so they can get work authorization and have the same type of protections and everything. It seems like it's the globalist
And that way,
agenda,
we're not like pulling
right?
the rug out from under everybody that's already in the country and all of the industries that are relying heavily on these workers in the first place.
Reality
Wait, hold on. So you're pro-slave labor then? Like, you know who you're hurting when you say this?
Just said.
Hold on.
What he just said was a pathway to amnesty so that they could get citizenship. That's what I'm saying. If you gave them all a way to citizenship as workers, they could be offered.
I offered that on so many panels.
You make them all legal. Problem
Hold
solved.
on, I offered that on so many panels.
That won't solve the problem.
Hold on, no, hold on. This is what's funny about this. Before the election, and y'all can go back and find the VODs. I went on about 10 panels, and I proposed we just go January 2025, January 1st. This is like beginning of 2024. Hey, everybody that's here, by that date, you're all here legally. And then we build the world's most secure fucking wall ever. Drone strike people going trying to get across it, like penalty of death.
Yes, let's do it. Build a moat.
Legally. And you know what?
Build a moat.
One fucking leftist, liberal, whoever.
Make America an island.
They all told me go fuck that. And I said on both. I
want to be an island
Canada,
boy.
The bottom. So don't tell me y'all can take that because y'all didn't take that. And so when it comes
Wait,
down
who is
to
y'all? Who are you talking to?
I 100% agree with you
offering this to them.
But that's fair. But hold on. Here's
too late to veto?
sure. One other thing I want to say is whenever y'all talk about these industries, like y'all, ag is the one that's brought up a lot, and y'all bring up all these illegal aliens work in ag. Well, you know who's employing those illegal aliens? Corporations, massive corporations like Monsanto and others, and you know who they're using? Yeah, and it's terrible. And you know who's suffering? The mom and pop people like Papa Gibbs and all my family who don't employ illegal aliens and have to compete with these corporate people with tons of. So what you're really saying is, fuck all the American individual business owners and family business owners.
So how about this?
Make legal immigration easier.
The companies that save money past that, you have to consider the.
Make all of them legal and offer some subsidies for like local agriculture.
No subsidies. Listen.
No subsidies.
Make them legal so that they can employees and they report committing crimes. Some people don't do that because
God is speaking through your Wi-Fi, Katya.
Your Starlink just got yeeted into space. It left its orbit.
I'm so sorry.
Like everything. So all these,
it's okay. It was
you have to consider the
consistently choppy.
It was like one word.
It's literally like.
Papa's doing it now.
Yeah, maybe it might be Discord.
It is. It's always Discord.
I think Discord's fucked up.
Trump's plan.
But look, hold on, wait. So first of all, they are.
Go ahead, Nonfon.
Yeah, so they are kind of right. Like, obviously, you could just grant amnesty to a lot of these people, and then a lot of the issue would go away. But also, I mean, if companies save money on labor, they pass that cost on to the savings onto the consumer, and the consumer save money. So you should probably consider first of all, the immigrant is benefiting.
What happened? Why do you think this?
Because if you shift marginal costs down,
businesses pass on savings to me. I've never heard. I've never
there's a ton of empirical evidence for that. I understand you never took a microeconomics class. Companies produce.
Name one thing that's gotten cheaper ever. Bags of
price of goods has been falling for a while. So first of all, we should probably measure things in real terms, and not in nominal terms. But second of all, even the nominal price of things like TVs have gone down.
What's more real than what applies to me directly?
So when I say real, I mean inflation adjusted.
I don't know. Listen, you and Tyler keep bringing in statistics and GDP. I'm gonna tell you right now, the average person, the actual normal person, does not give an iota of a fuck for a poll or a GDP.
You consider how it's going to affect
or what this word. All they know is when they go to the store, I used to be able to get 4 little bags of chips for $1. Now I can't. Now a regular bag of chips is fucking like $6 or some shit.
That's just
that's all people know.
I guarantee you the time price of chips has fallen over the past 20, 50, 10 years. So
where's the price of chips fallen?
I said the time price. As in the amount of time the average worker has to work
to a Republican. before
The amount of time the
Oh my
average worker
God.
has to work to afford a bag of chips has almost certainly gone down over the past 10 years.
That's true.
Probably over the past 5 years. COVID might have messed it up a little bit. I don't know. But that's absolutely 100% true.
I remember
You know,
I
you
used
know,
to have a lot more
and
chips
again,
when I had a lot
the
less
profit
money.
maximizing, the profit quantity produced is where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. If you shift down
know what that means.
if you shift down marginal cost,
I don't know what the
company-
fuck that means. I'll tell you that right now.
Let me
That
explain to you like I'm retarded.
I literally don't know what that means.
Okay,
Marginal
here's
cost
the
is
issue
the
we're all
cost of
retarded.
producing
So-
one additional quantity of the good,
Hold
right?
on.
And marginal revenue is the revenue you get by producing one additional quantity of the good. And if you shift down marginal cost, because, for example, the cost of labor goes down, the price of
think you underestimate
producing
how
one
retarded I
additional.
am.
Okay, hold on. I'll explain it to you like you're retarded.
I'm loving that he's turned into a Republican. This is
Let me
great.
How about
explain
if
this
this is-
is-
If that's how Republicans were,
Hold on.
I mean, maybe, but you know what?
So what
I'm gonna
Nonfon
move
is
Big
saying,
fan.
what Nonfon is saying here, in essence, is there's a certain amount of money you get after you pay all your taxes and everything called disposable income. The amount of the disposable income you have can be distributed for certain goods like food. The amount of disposable income we spent on food back in 1995 was about 9.2%. In 2018, that got down to 5.5%. Because our supply chains are great, because we're importing certain foods that's cheaper in the current status of comparative advantage to import those foods. Certain things are done. Because of that, we've driven our food price out of your disposable income down to the point where people are eating out almost as much as they're cooking at home because it's so fucking cheap. So what he's saying is this recent spike probably still keeps it lower than it would have been if we stayed at consistent rates from 1970.
Hold on.
Wait, it could be that eating out has gotten so cheap, or it could be that making food at home has just gotten so expensive that it matched eating out.
Well, eating out has gotten cheaper in the way that if cooking has become more expensive because more people are cooking for fewer people in general. Like
Where's
we're
my
talking
dollar
about
menu?
people who don't
Where's my
live with
dollar
as many
menu?
individuals.
So
This
two
is the
things.
value of the dollar.
Two things
Hey,
are
right,
retarded.
Ali? Where's my fucking dollar menu? Right?
Don't
So
got it no more.
they don't understand
You
us.
guys not
dude. They don't
understand the difference
what
between
we do.
nominal and
Hold on,
real?
hold on. Where's my dollar
Hold
menu?
on,
Where's my
hold on,
4
hold
for
on.
4, bro?
Pentuckle, your money,
Real.
get the amount
Where's
of
my
stuff.
$5
Hold on.
foot long?
Hold on.
You
Two
guys are
things-
fighting. So first of all,
real, where's
no,
my
Ollie,
$5
that you
hold on,
triggered me. You said
$16
the trigger word, Ollie. You hardcore triggered me.
Stop. All right, hold on. All right.
That's
just
an
get a little
hour's
order
worth
here.
of work. Minimum. That's an hour's worth of work.
Just get a little order here. I'm gonna say two things, and then this is gonna hurt me to do this because I'm very proud of Nonfon, like talking about trickle down economics and becoming Republican. Because 99% of the time I'd agree with him, except
I think Republicans need to become Republican these days.
except two things.
Whoa.
One, he's arguing the same
Are we going to
argument.
a party switch?
Hold on. One thing. There's two things here. One, you are arguing for the same thing that Big Cotton argued for pre-Civil War, which is basically we need our slaves to keep costs down. And two, hold on.
I think that's
Two,
true.
Hold on. Two, that's actually not
That
true in
is
this
true.
case. Hold on. Let me finish. It's actually not true specifically in regards to ag because, like I said, the people that own the companies are the ones that are massive companies, are the ones that have the illegal immigrants working for them, as opposed to the mom and pop ones. And what you would see is because land is centered in very few people's hands in ag, even the mom and pop groups are smaller.
What if we
Hold
just-
on.
I don't know how much
Hold on,
makes
hold
no
on,
money
hold on,
without slave labor.
Hold on. This is important because in ag there is a very small number of people that own all the land, right? What you're going to have happen is you're going to have the money not going. Yeah, you'll have an initial price increase because of these things go up in like supermarkets. Because we got rid of our slave labor, but what you'll see is very quickly. You'll have the mom and pop places able to compete at the same level playing field as the bigger places because they're not able to employ the slave labor. And guess what? Now you'll see prices decrease, which is good. Now, generally, I would agree with everything else Nonfon said because trickle down economics is based. But
What?
that's
Nothing
exception.
I said it was
Negative.
trickle down.
Yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
Sounded trickly to me.
Yeah,
He loves
but-
trickle
Well,
down. He does. He just hasn't.
Sounded like I have to suck off the teat of a corporation. Be like, please give me cheaper prices. Fuck
No,
that.
look, if the cost of an input goes down, supply shifts right, and that decreases prices.
No,
like, I don't know what to
this
tell
is
you.
how it
So
works,
if
this is how it
Gibbs
works,
is
this is how it
correct
works,
in
this is how it
saying that if firms,
let's just
if
say-
firms have price-setting power,
They're not gonna react to it, yeah.
They make more money,
is the way
they
it's
will.
worked. This is the way it's worked. Let's just say eggs were $1 an egg. This is a world, right? And then inflation happens, and then they have to charge $1.50 an egg. egg, but they don't charge $1.50 an egg. They charge $1.90 an egg, so they can make extra profit during inflation. Then a year later, they go, guys, we're gonna reduce the prices. Eggs are gonna be $1.70, right? And then I have to sit here and fucking not. And I have to resist the urge to burn down every grocery store in this country. But but yeah, it trickled down because now they're $1.70 instead of $1.90 when they used to be $1.
Leave the HEBs because they use the economic principle that I'm saying, and their prices stay low. But HEB.
I just steal. I just make life easy. I just steal.
Also, wait real quick, because you triggered me, Ollie. The reason the $5 footlong existed was because there was fucking like deflation during the 2008 recession. Okay, that was not a good economic time. The fact that we had a $5 footlong was not an indicator of money going far, like a good time.
Yeah.
Unemployment.
He is right
unemployment
because
was
of
at
inflation.
like 6%.
I charge
goods go
25 for
down.
this foot long, if you know what I mean.
Hey,
Yeah, but look, this is why we have to focus on
How many
real
customers do you
variables,
have?
Look,
right?
until I
That's
get my
the
dollar
problem.
menu back, I'm standing with Ali, and I'm
Quintuple,
protesting.
you-
and
The
I'm
real
pissed off.
variables are what people are feeling every day. Like, I get that the economists say that we've never been in a better economic time in the history of bro, motherfuckers are working 60 hours a week at Amazon, like,
That's not
and then
true.
Gibbs is
The
over here, bro,
average-
that's not
it
enough.
just shows you're wrong. Like the average
no.
working
But yeah, that
hours
seems
have
like a
gone
Gibbs
down.
problem. Thankfully, Gibbs
The
is
average-
not the king of the
average
economy.
average like working hours a week is like 36 hours by now. It's not even 40 hours. And
The
also
average
like
income is what?
Quintuple, the average what? Huh?
The average income is what in this country?
Average. I think the median is like 55,000. I don't know what the average is.
And then the cost of living, and then
Why aren't we
it's
looking at
like
the
people-
median? The median hour.
The median
I'm
would
just
be
saying,
better
that's
for
like-
Median work
income.
week.
Well,
Oh.
I mean, but this brings us back to our original subject right here, which is kind of like I was saying, right? It seems like because of these economic indicators and people worldwide suffering from what Ali is talking about, everybody can be told everything's great, but everybody can go outside and see shit's not so sweet, right? And it's interesting because Conor McGregor at the beginning, he goes, I employ 300 people, right? I'm a successful business owner. You've been listening to these theorists for a while, shit's going south. It's kind of an argument we're hearing here today. Like, why don't we listen to like actual business owners that run businesses? It seems like people are sick of the status quo. Let's look for an answer to this. I think Bernie was that answer in 20 whatever what year you ran. I think
As if businesses haven't
Trump is
had
the
an
answer
influence
now.
on policy
Well,
for the future.
Maybe they
The
should
future of our
take
nation.
the
As if
aggregate.
businesses haven't been able to make decisions for America for like decades.
Here's my problem with a lot of these things. Like, I understand that people have economic anxieties, and I understand that people want fixes to this. A lot of the time, the fixes are misguided, and they're also paired with like ridiculous like clampdowns on like personal freedoms and shit of like people who are already in the country who aren't even, you could say, like outsiders or this, that, and the third. But people talk about that when they talk about why they believe the things they do. And then they tack on a bunch of shit in practice that's like, okay, hold on, why the fuck are we doing that? Like, where'd you smuggle that in from?
Why are you
Economists
laughing
are
at
right
that?
about everything, and the people
I
are
wasn't.
wrong. That's my opinion.
I'll show you what.
You weren't laughing, you were just laughing. That's absolutely true.
I wasn't lying. I wasn't laughing at all.
Okay.
Now, earlier there
Right,
wasn't something brought up by the broads over there when I did say white, identify as white. What I was using
What
that
does
for
that mean?
was a stand-in for assimilating
American.
to American more. It was a stand-in.
Well, because if you're white, you're just an American,
Yeah.
and if you're non-white, you're a hyphenated American, right? That's the idea.
yeah, exactly.
Black
They
American,
just-
Arab American, Asian American,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Hispanic
They
American.
Here
say
for black
German
people who
American.
have been here, like, as far as their
People
whole
say
heritage
French
longer than
American.
most white people.
They're still Black American, right? They don't like they're still
Wait,
they're still
Black
hyphenated.
American? People say
Yeah.
Black. I thought they say African American.
Yeah,
African American.
Yeah, for people whose
Black
families were in
hyphen American?
Africa, fucking
Especially in the South, they'll get corrected.
It
I mean, I
depends-
know
it
people call
depends
themselves
who you're
black,
it
right?
really depends who you're talking to. Some black people say they're African American. Some of them say they're black. It really just depends, because it's seen as like African American is seen as like a formality in some places. So you'll see a lot of older black people feel that way. But then when you get into black people like 70s and moving forward, you see a lot more people saying they're black. They're not African American. They're black.
Right.
Like,
Also,
I
I'm gonna-
count Rich is technically
Face
African American.
blacks.
I'm gonna have to skedaddle soon because I feel sick as hell because I don't have airflow in my house too much right now because the air conditioner is not working.
Well, you get the feeling
That's
better.
Better.
That's rough. That's
I
rough.
kind of feel like garbage, and I'm gonna try to get to the bottom as to why the fuck that is because this unit's like a fucking year old. It should not be broken.
And during like exam week and shit. Don't you have
That's
like
no
Yeah,
way.
I've just been getting like fucked over and over again, not in the good way. So I'm gonna skedaddle.
get that
I am
fixed.
You'd
exhausted.
be good. You'd be good.
Feel better.
Thank you for coming.
Hasta la vista.
Peace out, Katya.
Yeah, so I mean, do we think that the populism is like this populist shift towards like looking to business owners over economists is a good thing? I know Nonfon has strong feelings about that. Go ahead, and tell us why it's bad to listen to business owners and it's better to listen to economists.
I mean, I like respect, like most business owners I've spoken to don't actually know that much about economics outside of their business. I don't know. Like I was speaking to like this business owner like a week ago, and I'm sure she runs a perfectly good business, but she literally can't tell me what a trade deficit is. She literally can't tell me what foreign exchange rate appreciation is. She can't tell me what the 4 components of GDP are. Like, she could not pass a high school econ or macro econ class. I don't really know what you mean by like listen to businesses. Like, to an extent we do. I mean, businesses are.
It's
It's kind of like when Tyler brings up a poll. This is like when Tyler brings up a poll, and I'm like, hey, listen. In my entire life, I've never been asked a poll question. I don't know a single person who's ever been asked a poll question. I don't know where the fuck you're getting these answers from. I don't fucking see these things.
And shove it.
Hold on.
Two issues.
What Admiral Libs was asking you
here we
is
go.
why shouldn't we listen to the experts and instead trust people based on their lived experience?
Yes, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Lived experience
Admiral
isn't
Libs is out before us today.
lived experience is just
Wait, Douglas Murray or Dave
experience.
Smith?
It's just
Real quick, this will help me.
Douglas Murray,
or Dave
hands
Smith?
down. After the first hour, he was a pompous cunt the first hour, but after that, he crushed it.
I watched it back like 2 or 3 times. I don't think he really did much. I don't think Dave Smith did much, but I think that was yeah. But like, do you go with the expertise or the lived experience or like the herd experience, the shared experience? I go with shared experience over expertise. I don't know where the fuck these experts got their shit from. Also, there's always an expert that disagrees with this expert, an expert that agrees with. I don't fucking know.
Buckaroo, go ahead.
I just think a combination of the two. Like, if I really wouldn't be able to choose between one or the other, because I think when it comes to expertise, that's looked at, a much more upscaled version. Like, you're not just looking at one person's experience, you're looking at, the cumulative experience. Like, it's just going to be apples and oranges as to like how this information is actually useful. In the same way that like two parents raising one child like could have a completely different experience than 2 parents raising this other kid, because they're different kids. So I don't know. I think it's both. It's necessary information from both sides. I don't think you can have one without the other.
Bubble, you agree with that? You
Was it
prefer
the big problem just now?
you prefer listening to the experts like the economic theorists over the business leaders? Or do
It
you,
depends.
Or do you
I mean, I wouldn't only listen to the experts.
Well, so
but I mean, it
maybe
depends. Like, it's so
You don't-
fact dependent, right?
Well,
I mean, there's times where you listen to the experts,
let
and
me-
there's
let
times
me-
where
let me
the
expand.
You don't
experts are
respect
wrong.
anything experts
Well,
say, Pentuple. I don't
Well,
know.
I
what to
just feel like
Hold on, let me-
business
let me-
I don't
leaders
respect
need to see-
experts, especially the ones who are like the status quo experts.
let me-
Can I give you some
Who
legal
refer
advice?
to, Yeah, they
Hold on,
suck, and I have no
I just feel
respect
like
for
when
them.
it
Like
comes
Alan
to-
Lichtman, the
hold on.
expert.
I just feel
Yeah,
like when
yeah, that's a great
it comes to individuals, you're going to see more of like the practical applications of certain regulations, of like certain changes, where if you're looking at it from an expertise perspective, you're going to be looking at trends over like large groups of people. It's just going to be different. It's a different perspective.
So actually, let's expand this, because Toby-Wan Kenobi actually put this in the chat, and I actually was trying to get to this right now, just right. So I feel like there's a rejection from many of us, myself included, on some levels, of the current education system, and then furthermore, the status quo with like we think that the left and libs have like invaded everything within like higher education, right? So the doctorates, it's you're not even a doctor if you're conservative, even though you might have all these things that like, I've lived this experience, I should be qualified. They won't even give me an honorary doctorate for speaking at their school, yet they gave so and so this. I mean, it's an honorary, remember, whatever. But they're willing to give us all this education and all tell us why we're wrong from the school of Chicago about fucking economic theory, but then tell us Kevin O'Leary doesn't know shit, right? And so I think that and this we expand this to the culture war, and there's this kind of rejection of academia on the whole from I guess the modern right, or even I think the lower classes of a populist. Do you see that, Ben Temple? You see like this as an expansion of that, the business owners and versus the theorists versus even the academia thing? Because I know I do. Do you are you seeing that?
I don't know. I'm still sort of thinking if anyone else wants to jump in, but I can yap if I need to.
Say again, business owners have had a voice in America since the establishment of America. Like, they are some of the most listened to people when it comes to legislation. That's why we have that's why we have PACs. That's why we have super PACs, because it's like encouraged by these individual businesses. Like, I think it's kind of ridiculous to suggest that businesses haven't been listened to, at least to some extent, forever.
Well,
I'm talking about more like business leaders in politics. Like, they're saying, okay, don't do what this theorist is saying, do this.
I mean,
I don't know. I mean,
feel like most
to give like a
politics.
personal anecdote, I guess I could give. But I mean, I I went to law school, right? And I passed the bar with a bunch of people that also passed the bar that disagree with me on nearly everything political. We're both attorneys. We have different views on legal concepts, legal arguments, and it's like, we're both the expert in that sense that we're both licensed attorneys. Like, if you wanted to choose me, then you could. But it's like it's I don't know. Like, it's valuable that you get to talk to people, but you also have to understand, like, not all experts agree with each other, and like it's just I think it's a lot more complicated.
I mean, like 90% of the economic experts are globalists, even the conservative ones.
The experts only exist so that enough people can get together and like side.
But if we're talking about like economic things, I'm not just gonna like defer to some guy who's like studied because he's an expert. It's like it's different depending on what the issues and what the conversations are, for sure.
Well, I guess
you actually should for economics, because you don't know anything about economics. But also like it. Coming from you. All right. I know.
Okay.
Wait, couple. Do you know what is the trade deficit financed by? Or do you still think money goes overseas, or do you know? Did you finally learn about the balance of payments? Did you finally accept when?
So that means that literally no one understands economics, right? There's like no one who understands economics outside of like economy majors or like economists, because like no one knows what the fuck that is.
I'm just saying
Only Nonfon knows economics because he's used
that's absolutely not true. Almost like anyone else here, I wouldn't really mind them having an economic opinion that differs from like all of the experts. It's just you specifically because you don't
because you've grokked enough economics.
You're the one who won't even accept what Grok says about economics. I still don't think you understand the balance of payments.
No, that's not
even though I've explained it to you like 5 times. But
I'm not even doing this with
you. That is 100% true, because I spent a long time trying to explain to you that money that leaves that quote unquote leaves the country through a trade deficit. That money comes back through investment in America.
Dude, the only time I engage with one of the arguments, I just sent a screenshot of it to Grok, and Grok was like, "What did you just send me, you retard?"
Yeah, so true, buddy. You specifically should absolutely defer to the experts. And again, I'll say, like, even all these conservative economists out there are plenty of economists who are conservatives. They are all globalist. Like 90% of economists are globalist. All these economists are like trade. Like, you'll find like maybe like Peter Navarro and Oren Cass, but that's about it.
Globalism has been the way for like the last 50 years.
Who pays economics?
I mean, that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm just thinking of it from. I know I've said it already, but example, like, I'm allergic to penicillin. Most doctors would agree penicillin is good to use to treat infections. I'm not saying this on your side though, Pentuple. I'm saying like most doctors. Yeah, I know it's kind of ridiculous. Oh, we're both allergic.
Weak genetics.
Most doctors would tell me.
Most doctors would say, like, there are a lot of cases where you'll go to the hospital and people still, depending on the type of illness that they have, just because it's fucking good at fighting shit. So I would say, when it comes to economists versus just business owners, like, yes, there may be a business that's fucking allergic to penicillin, but across the board, I'm not making penicillin illegal just just because that one business is allergic to penicillin. It would be better to just keep the fucking penicillin.
Yeah. Also, if in the future proposed by them where we have like breeding programs and whatnot, people allergic to penicillin don't get to have children.
Yeah.
That's just weak genetics. We're going to breed that.
Now, hold on.
Whoa, weak genetics because I'm allergic to penicillin.
Hold on.
My body has developed I don't need that shit. That's how advanced I am.
Weakness.
What you mean? You're the one. You need
penicillin?
penicillin? You need penicillin? Your body needs penicillin, you pussy?
Weakness.
Penicillin in the body is just too many cooks in the kitchen, okay?
Penicillin
The body's doing fine on its own. We don't need that shit.
I can't even walk in his own house.
Give me a rash.
My body. People who don't know how to season their
they're going to die from
salty
penicillin. That's what's going to happen here. The spores in the air, they die from it, and it's terrible. Tyler, what were you saying?
I kind of forgot the point, but since I finally have a chance, I kind of want to go back to a point I had written down.
Go ahead.
That Pantopel was bringing up earlier to bring us back to the, what the conversation's about here. He was talking about why we need higher birth rates or immigrants, and I've actually flirted around with this idea just for fun, is to kind of play out what would happen if we actually move forward with degrowth, with shrinking the economy. And what we would have to do in order to do that is completely dismantle so much of our government spending in terms of like almost all of our social programs would be gone, and most people like those. You'd see 70% of the country get pissed off at the party in power for doing that. Deflation would be deflating our government structures to keep up with a shrinking economy would piss people off. It would reduce their living standard. You start to see probably riots in the streets for certain things going away. We do not want to go that route unless it's a long plan to go that way. Like, we're going to get rid of Medicare and phase it out over the next 30 years or something like that. It can't just be like, we got to cut this because our economy's shrinking, because we refuse to take in immigrants and we refuse to have sex.
Well, so I mean, I guess that's true. I don't know.
Government-funded sex parties.
Yeah, that's great too. True. Fantastic. Love when that happens. But let's go to something I know. So Ali over here, I know we have had many a conversation about how you think the United States should stay out of the Middle East, right? You just think we stay out, let them fight their own wars. That seems to be becoming a big take across even Europe. Poland's over here gearing up to go in, and without them, they want isolationists, and they don't want any new immigrants. We're seeing this in other countries. The UK is kind of starting to have an isolationist state. The US is isolationist. There's a rise of nationalism in one way. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Like, do we like this work? I mean, what are your thoughts, Ollie? Do you like the idea of isolationism for more countries other than the US?
So I like trade, I like travel, I like people going about and doing whatever they need to do. I don't like the idea that we invest money in wars in other countries because we're America. That just makes no sense. If other countries want to go to war, fuck it, right? If we're that worried about Russia, just beat them on the front of being worth being an ally, right? And that means if you can trade with us, you can become rich. If you can become rich, you'll probably like us. And, like if you want to buy military shit off us, that's cool. We make it. You buy it. That sounds fucking based. I don't know. Like, no one's attacking us. We're chilling on our vibes, right? Like, if other countries want to do the shit, let them do their shit. I think there's an issue, actually. There's no unity, right? There's nothing that makes... I don't think Americans feel like there's anything that makes them uniformly American. And then the same thing in the UK, right? I heard the idea of cultural Christianity making a comeback to the UK. I think that's kind of the based way to go. I think we've kind of pussified and codified the West a little bit. We're afraid of other cultures and other religions. Rather than being afraid, fucking strengthen yourself, right? Rather than be afraid and be like, no, these people can't come here. Strengthen yourself, strengthen your community, strengthen your unity, right? It doesn't have to be fucking fundamental Christianity. Right, but I don't think this whole individualism, atheism, plan is working out. I think primarily in the UK, the big issue is these Muslim communities are coming. A lot of people are kind of converting because it's hey, we don't have any structure or anything. These Muslims are coming. They're buying the churches because no one's going to the church, and they're filling up the churches. Yeah, it seems like if you want to win the fight, kicking people out and being pussy isn't going to do anything. You should get your numbers up, get your money up, not your funny up.
Get the numbers up.
Just get good. That's what he said. America, get good.
Yeah.
15K.
Can we talk about Harvard now?
Harvard? Yeah, we got. What do you want to talk about Harvard?
Wait, what is that? Wait.
What
oh,
about
wait.
Harvard?
Never mind.
What happened with Harvard?
I keep annoying Gibbs about it, and he doesn't want to.
Or are we
Yeah.
annoyed? Are we still annoyed with them not listening about? I don't fucking know, Israel something.
Who, what?
I thought it was women. Oh no, that's Maine.
There was a lot of
It's an
he had
Israel
a
thing. It's
whole
they don't want
list
the
of
boycotts
demands.
or the bans or the tents
No.
outside. I don't fucking know.
It
No,
was.
Tyler,
they
you know
had-
what? If you wanna, yeah,
No,
you wanna
if
hit him
they
with this,
straight
go
up
for it. I
Just doing the
he's really adamant that y'all will love this topic. So
I
you go ahead
think
and-
it's fantastic.
Yeah,
So
Hold
hit
on,
him
wait,
with it, hit
wait,
him
hold
with
on.
it.
I just want to. Can we at least
Oh, go ahead.
get an agreement from basically everyone here that there are, generally speaking, gains from exchange, gains from specialization, and gains from economies of scale when it comes to international trade between countries. I just want a general agreement on that.
Yeah, there are, but they usually
I
go
would
to the
say-
1%.
I would say situationally that is true. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
but
It
you,
just-
you
it
can
just-
have situations where that is not true as well. Like, but yeah, generally, in a current
Generally,
system.
okay, great. Pentuple, do you think?
But hold on. There's even within that though, there's going to be like industries that are going to suffer because of that. Like if you're a
Oh, yeah.
nation, like you know, like so y'all like, oh no, we'll lose these jobs, but we'll gain these jobs. I mean, now we're just playing favorites at that point, right? Like, I mean,
Well, protection. The opposite of that would play favorites too, right? Because you'd be protecting some industries at the cost of other industries. But it's just the overall benefits is higher in the in the free trade case, I think. But I'm just super curious. Does Pentuple think that there are gains from exchange? Can we at least agree on gains from exchange?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Woohoo.
Now that he's agreed on it, can you say one nice thing about Pentuple?
no, I don't give a shit about that. So go ahead and tell your thing. tell us
All
your
right,
thing.
what
Go
did
ahead.
Harvard do?
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right, so Harvard is being sued by the Trump
bitches.
administration. When the Trump administration came in, they restructured executive orders and different policy around Title VI, Title IX, having to do with transgenders, having to do with Jewish people being viewed as a religious group, and raising discrimination standards for Jewish people as well. A bunch of these colleges kind of resisted those efforts. A bunch of the protests that were going on prior to the election on the campuses resulted in violence. Harvard specifically, their head of security came out and said they were absolute failures. There were instances where they had a public display of Judaism on campus, and the campus told them they needed to clean it up every night because they couldn't guarantee its protection. There was so much violence on the campus that the security could not guarantee that Jewish religious practice shit wouldn't get vandalized. And then they also had two Palestinian protester students assault and a Jewish engineering student. They're currently, I think they're in the process of being charged right now. I think they've been found guilty. Not 100% of that, don't quote me on it. But Harvard's refusing to take necessary action. And it's the same thing as the Obama administration mailing out Dear Colleague letters about certain types of Islamophobia or certain types of racism going on campuses. And the same thing as Joe Biden threatening to cancel school lunches for any school that wouldn't teach his policies, desired transgender policies. Trump is now canceling the funding, $8 billion a year to Harvard. A lot of it goes to good things, too, because they won't adhere to civil rights. And Harvard is suing for the right to ignore the civil rights laws.
I'm pretty I would have to do more reading on it, but I am
pretty
fairly
awesome.
certain the demands sent to Harvard
Isn't it
were
more than
pretty
just that?
fucking
Didn't it
insane,
also have
but-
to do?
I think that's the lawsuit right there, is they made demands. And then there was some fuckery on the Trump department. The Trump
So
people
here was a
who
part of the
did-
problem. But a part of the problem was that it was talking about all of the research that they were trying to pause because of the actions of students on campus. I mean, I guess personally, I just don't understand why they would want to stop research because of the actions of a bunch of random undergrads. I just don't know if that's enough to stop all of this.
The argument of canceling your funding based on civil rights, it's all or nothing. You can't just say we're going to cancel 50% of your funding and then allow you to discriminate and get half of it.
When was the last time we canceled the school's
not exactly-
funding for civil rights?
I'm not sure. I've never looked into that, actually.
I'm pretty sure never, right? Because
I'm pretty sure there were actually schools that
we didn't give a
started
fuck till
specifically because-
2023, right? About civil rights and fucking I haven't even heard racism in the past 2 years. You guys are limited. We listen, guys. There's no more racism
did
in the
it.
world. It's
Holy
just
shit,
anti-Semitism
you're right.
and Islamophobia. We fucking did it, boys.
We left it with COVID.
right?
Yeah, here, shuttering apolitical life-saving
COVID cured
research
racism.
targeting the university.
No, it's anti-Semitism did.
And okay.
Threatening
That's
all
what I'm saying. We have no more
students,
racism. It's just anti-Semitism and Islamophobia
This is
based.
true.
This
is true.
isn't the whole argument from Harvard just that like none of what they suggested would actually influence any of the Jewish students on campus, and it would actually like possibly harm a considerable portion of them. And like you're stopping a bunch of research because of, again, actions of like some students on campus. And last I checked, I couldn't build some random stuff on any university campus and just have it protected by security on campus when I leave it there overnight. Okay, it doesn't matter what it's related to. So I'm
like acting like Harvard.
Hold on.
Everyone's not complying. Why is Harvard the only one not complying with this? Or is it more than just Harvard?
I don't think was the only one not complying. I think there was another college.
It's Columbia and a couple of the other.
The most elite of schools that are like, nah, I'm good.
So hold on. If a university, Texas A&M, let's say hypothetically, had a bunch of anti-black racists walking around assaulting black people, saying black people couldn't enter certain buildings and whatnot, and would you want their government funding cut off because
I don't think that's what's happening. I think there's a protest, and then there's a barrier, and then these students are looking specifically at this barrier and be like, I want to walk through here. It's like fucking walk around, or if the building is being taken over, you don't go to class that day.
I'll say
you just don't. The building has been taken over.
Hold on. I'll say this though: at A&M, they had something like this happen, and they are like, okay, we're only having protest in certain zones, and the next time they try to have a protest outside of that zone, A&M PD actually has the second largest jurisdiction in Texas after the Texas Rangers, because they have jurisdiction in any county where they have land, and they have land in a fuck ton of them for whatever reason.
Wasn't it Montgomery?
So they fucking basically just like threw all the kids in jail and real cracked down on it. So they only have protests now in certain areas.
Hold on. Wasn't it Montgomery County that blocked off with white people, black people entering their school after forced integration was put into the South after civil rights was passed?
Alabama, yeah.
And I want to say that the president called in the National Guard to allow these black students in because they were being
It was one girl to start. It was one girl to start.
Now it's saying, what you're saying is those black girls should have just found another way into the building.
No, I think.
Or just not going to school that day.
No, because this is different. This is about
wait. The protests are on campus. The protests are on campus. They're not there to protest Jewish students being on campus or Jewish students being allowed in your school. Whatever the fuck rhetoric or narrative you want to push about the pro-Palestine movement, I don't give a fuck about that. But like, let's actually tackle it. When you have a specific protest against black students coming into your school and integrating into your school, that's a specific thing. When you have people that are on strike, right? When you have like a business that's on strike, or you have students on campus that are protesting, they're protesting in a specific area, and you're saying, I have to walk through this specific area. No, that's not you being not allowed because you're Jewish. It's you not being allowed to walk through the strike zone. It's very. There's a protest. There's a strike zone. Don't walk through the strike zone.
No. There's video of classrooms being blocked off, of hallways being blocked off, saying we're not letting Zionists into this classroom today. Zionist is a code word.
Hold on, did they let other kids?
It's a code word for Jew.
Hold on.
Is it?
Did they? Hold on. Here's my question.
Why?
Hold on.
Are there not Christian Zionists and American Zionists?
Here's my question. Hold on. I want clarification though. Were there other kids allowed to go to those classes?
Yes.
Oh well, then that's a problem.
Absolutely.
Where did this happen?
It's been both Columbia and Harvard. It's been documented there were violent attacks on Jewish students.
Can I see the link where there were certain students let into class, but then certain students not let into class? And how did you know that they were Zionists exactly?
Jewish students barred from class. Well, that's kind of part of the allegations. Is how did they
only let the ones with Confederate symbols on?
Physical appearances of certain students to judge if they were Zionists or not. It's weird how,
can I get the links to see this?
I don't have this all prepared
because as far as I can tell, Jewish people in America are kind of considered white, and I don't know who you're like picking out between a Jew unless they're wearing a flag of a Star of David, whatever it may be. Yeah, these are indicators for the other way.
Wait, we got the Jews wearing stars now? This is getting worse.
Yeah, we need to put a patch on. Maybe a tattoo on their arm will help.
Star of David. It's chosen of their own volition. It's a Star of David. They wear it. It's gold. It's not yellow. So, and it's not a band. It's a nice chain.
Yeah, a nice tattoo on their arm will really tell them apart.
I don't think. No, Jews can't get tattoos. Then they can't get buried in Jewish cemeteries.
Yeah. I'm just messing with you.
Which I think actually, like now that I think back to it, that was an extra fucked up part of the Holocaust.
The number one,
you can't even go to Jewish heaven.
Per capita, the number one.
I think
victim
they
of
made an
hate
exception
crimes
for that one. I think
in the United States, per capita, the number one victim of hate crimes are Jews. In the world, the number one victim.
Oh my God! Can you send me the link of the students being let in that weren't?
Get you all that after this. Just
Anti-Semitism is what now. Jewish hatred is the number one thing in the world. We really got rid of racism in this country. That's
107 countries kicked Jews out of their country. Can you name any other group, religious, ethnic, or otherwise, that's been kicked out of their country at that rate, or even close?
Why would you don't?
They are the most oppressed people, and they deserve liberals to stand up for them against their oppressors. The second fastest growing religion in the world.
You guys know you stream and I don't. Please don't bring up these things.
Yeah, bad.
You guys stream, I don't. Please
I'm
respect
sorry.
your TOSs.
Do it on his panel, not my panel.
I'm being vague. It's fun. It's all
my freestyle panels. Saturdays at 8.
The Temple's ready to risk the ban.
The whole bag.
Yeah,
I'm all in.
I mean, on that note, I feel like that's as good a time as calling as any. I might have something else coming up right here anyway, real shortly. So let's just get a little outros, and we'll just not ask the any JQ questions, and we'll just give outros on the panel in general. Here you go, Tyler. Go ahead and start us off. Be good.
All right, my name is Average Debate Enjoyer. I stand with Ethan Klein. Take that how you will. And everything I say is right. The only thing that matches my intellect is my empathy. And if you're interested in poker, we're streaming poker 2-3 nights a week. If you're a streamer, hit us up. We're trying to get all, like you go in a panel, you yell at somebody, call them the N-word, then you can go blow off some steam together in the poker tables, and talk about boobs and stuff. Like, what we do.
I have to get on that poker fast.
Yeah, that's what you're coming in the next year on
We
Friday's
have a rule
table.
that if you fold to an all-in, it's called shove or slur.
Yeah, yep, there's that. So, if you're a streamer, you don't even know how to play, come on over, have a good fucking time, and, chill with your boys. Like, we're all disagreeing here, then after this is over, we all go get margaritas together. So, don't let the hatred fool you. Pentuple and Nonfon are actually, really close friends. They hang out all the time.
I saw them kiss once.
Yeah, that's cute. It was after
Hey,
a
don't show
baseball game.
my homophobia. You know better. That's rude.
Go ahead, Buckaroo. After that comment here.
I'm Big Papa Buckaroo. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube. I just did my nails. I do also stand with Ethan Klein. I think iDubbbz is a stinky butt. I think globalism it has its positives, it has its negatives. I am anti-interventionist. I think we should stop fucking with other people's countries. But I do like trade and I like immigration.
Fantastic. Nonfon.
I'm Nonfon. I stream on YouTube and Nonfon, Twitch and Kick, Nonfon420. On my YouTube channel, I got a bunch of edited debates, and I am the ultimate globalist, okay? I stand with Klaus Schwab, former head of the World Economic Forum, okay? You will eat the bugs, okay? There are benefits from exchange, benefits from specialization, benefits from economies of scale, and benefits from voluntary exchange that apply to immigration and to trade between countries. And they're good. It's just really good. It's just really trade, immigration. They're just both really good.
Fantastic. Pentuple. He's muted. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you.
All right. Hey, I'm Pentuple. I'm here, the host of MAGA Headquarters. We do baseball, politics, and poker. And we got tomorrow night, we got 2 tables. The official Twitch Poker League continues. Shout out to Tyler. He's our ranked 1 player in the season right now. So, and shout out to Big Papa Buckaroo. She could be debuting in the season league soon enough. And Gibbs is also debuted before. We'll get Ali in there. It'll be a fun time. Come check us out.
Barely talked about trade, clap. Barely talked about trade. Barely, kind of a little bit talked about immigration, but a lot of it was about, the sort of cultural effects of immigration and not the, good shit, the economic shit, the good fiscal benefits, okay? There's a decent amount of evidence that immigrants are, even illegal immigrants, tend to be fiscal positive. That's why, the CBO estimated, the surge in immigration under Biden, the surge in illegal immigration under Biden, all the illegal asylum seekers and everything, they're all I think they estimated it to be a negative or like a $900 billion decrease in a deficit over 10 years because they estimate that these people will be fiscal positives. And also, fuck, I love Ollie. Okay. But fuck that dude. Fuck that dude. I mean, what is wrong with progressives? Okay. And also, to be fair, Pentuple too. Like, if things are so good, where's my $1 menu? Where's my $1 menu? It's like, okay, are you capable of thinking, like, maybe let's not think about things in nominal terms and think about things in real terms, and like maybe let's use statistics instead of just like random anecdotes about you going to the grocery store. Like, absolutely, like you can, if you like if you just look at statistics, like the average time, that's why real wages are useful, guys. It's like, give me one thing the price has fallen on. It's like, okay, well, one, I said TVs. The nominal price of TVs has fallen. Pretty sure even if you look at 10 years ago, a 55-inch TV would be more than it is today, probably even in nominal terms. But in real terms, will you adjust for inflation? Will you adjust for purchasing power? Liberalism kills, so true. If you want to chat with me live, sub here or go to Nonfon420 on Twitch or Kick via the links below. Once again, please like and sub to help with the algorithm, and consider sending a donation through YouTube Super Thanks to directly support me, and I'll make sure to reply to any question you ask. See you guys next time.